And one.
Hey everyone, this is Craig Proctor and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Today, my special guest is Tracy King, the king of real estate in Tennessee. Tracy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous.
Okay, why are you the king of real estate? Tell us what's been going on.
Well, we're still making things happen. You know, we're going to sell something around a little over 500 homes this year. Even
not bad, eh? Not bad in a down market.
It's been sliding everywhere.
Yeah, 500 homes. I think most of us could get by on that. Okay, so let's talk about how this happens. How obviously you have a team. You have mastered the art of or science of delegation. The first thing that you became an expert at was leveraging yourself through marketing, and then leveraging yourself through systems and technology, and then through people. So let's go back to when you did it all yourself, and you have this epiphany that there must be a better way to do this.
Yeah, that was that was a while ago, but that was a great epiphany. But the thing was, you know, I knew that I couldn't, you know, do everything myself, not for long. And so I needed a plan, and that's what I found was I needed a coach. So I joined the Craig Proctor coaching system program, and you know, it's just grown from there. But I learned a lot from.
Before you met me, the year before you met me, how many transactions were you doing at that point?
My wife and I were doing just a little over 100 a year.
100 a year. So decent, right? 100 a year. Most agents would say, wow, that's awesome. And today you're doing 500 a year. And what, I guess you were doing all of it. You and your wife were doing everything. You had nobody else to help you.
We had two admin people, but mainly they were just transaction coordinators and putting our listings in the MLS and that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Okay. And so how did you find out about me?
I was buying leads from, I forget the name of the company that was ran out of Todd's office. And I talked to a guy in his office there, and that guy was telling me about Craig Proctor. And so I looked you up and started, you know, and then we continued to talk. And then finally, you know, I got on the phone with Todd, and then Todd convinced me to come to a conference, which we got one coming up, matter of fact, in Orlando. But so I went to my first conference, and that was April of 2012. And from that point on, just going to that conference, it just all the light bulbs started going off.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, you learn an awful lot in 3 days. And as Tracy mentioned, we have a big 3-day conference coming up in Orlando, Florida. Tracy said before we got started, you know, that thing's only like a week or so away. Starts on October 20th. It's October, that's right? 20th or 18th? 20th, I think.
20th.
Yeah. So it's in Orlando, Florida. If you want to get information on it, go to craigproctor.com. That's where you can get info on it. But we'll have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of our top Craig Proctor members from all over the country, all over the United States and Canada. And that's where you get to meet the Tracy Kings of the world. That's where you're going to hear from agents that are making millions of dollars actually doing this, not just talking about it, but in the trenches. And my job's really just to interview you guys, pull out, you know, what you're doing, talk about what mistakes you'd made, what you would change if you were doing it all over again, just really to make it very clear what you need to do if you want to get to the next level and avoid all the mistakes. So not only do you know what to do, but we make it easier for you to do it, and you know, prevent you from wasting time and money doing it the wrong way. Because there is a best practice, the best way to do all of this, and it is being done. You don't have to look any further than the agents in the Craig Proctor network here, which you've become really good friends with, Tracy.
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of good friends in the network that I talk to on a regular basis, and I don't get to see them enough. But in Orlando, I plan on seeing. Oh gosh, I don't know how many. It's gonna be a lot, and I'm excited to see them. I'm also excited to work with them, network. You know, Craig, you said something about you do an interview with us. You know what happens is during that interview time, you're pulling things out, but you also tweak what we're doing. And also you just kind of highlight, like we get a lot of ahas just having that conversation. And not only do we, the ones you're interviewing, benefit, but everybody out there in the audience all get the benefit of hearing that. It's like a real live mastermind happening on the stage all the time. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I've been heads down for the last 2 weeks, going through all the stuff and trying to fit as much great content as I can into the agenda, trying to trim out anything, just so I've got the very best of the best of the best. So yeah, I'll be ready to roll. Orlando, Florida again. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. You can get information at craigproctor.com. Now, Tracy, let's look at your business right now, 500 transactions. If we were to break down the major sources of this business, what would be the top 3 or 4 sources for the 500 transactions?
Yeah, I was meeting with Tanner, my COO, yesterday, and we were looking at that, and we were looking at our sources, and man, we have a lot of sources.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot. So, but the top ones I'm going to say is we are our direct mail pieces that we do, and radio and TV.
Okay, so we've got direct mail, radio, and TV. Mm-hmm. And to some naysayers, they'll think, well, direct mail is old school, but it is, with all the online clutter, it is one of the easiest and most effective ways to get the attention of the prospect. But you've got an air attack, you've got a ground attack, you're in their mailbox, you're in their news feed, you're on the radio station. So it must be difficult for you when someone's selling their house and your team's trying to figure out, okay, like what caused this phone call into the office. You probably you hear a lot of, well, everything, everywhere. I can't name one because you've got this massive omnipresence.
Right. Yeah, that happens a lot and drives my marketing team crazy because they're trying to track everything. And I just told them, listen, it's impossible to track every single lead, mm-hmm. because we have this omnipresence about us. And so good job, guys. You've done a great job getting us there. But we've got billboards, and we're just branding the company and branding who we are, and kind of stating your flag into your territory. And you do that, like you said, with direct mail and radio and TV and billboards and all. There's just, I don't know, there's several other things that we're doing that just makes such a big impact. And so but you do those in a consistent manner. It's not where you're in and you're out and you're in and you're out. You got to commit to it, and you got to continue to do it, and it will pay off. But you can't, like Todd says, you just can't nibble around the edges. You got to be all in. And so that's what happened when I went to the first conference. Todd just told me to come and check it out. And then he said, I want you to, while you're here at the conference, I want you to pick out one thing, just one, mm-hmm. that you think is going to make the biggest impact on your business. And I want you to go back and implement it. And I found that one thing at that time, 2012, we had a lot of expireds. And I said, okay, I'm going to implement the expired letter program. Went back, implemented it. Took me about 30 days to get it implemented and up and going. And bam, it took off. And I remember saying to myself, like, wow, it really works. This stuff really works. So we did that. And then,
surprise. The expired letters, the expired program is something I'm really going to drill into deep at this conference in Orlando in a few weeks, because we actually do have expired listings now for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I'll bring what I'm doing. I just added one thing to it, and I don't have anything around me here to show you, but anyway, it's the big vanilla envelopes, the big ones.
Yep.
I got something in the mail from, I don't know, I think it was insurance company or whatever. And I always open them. It didn't matter if I just always open them.
Yeah. They're probably like 9-inch by 12-inch, the great big ones. Yeah.
Yeah, they gotta be important, right?
Yeah.
So I had the idea of that. You know what? So we do what we call a letter that we put with the expired letters. The first one we send out is what we call a Zillow letter. It's just a basic printout of the Zillow screenshot of what people, Zillow says the house worth and everything.
Right.
We print that out. We got all kinds of little writings on it and sticky notes. So I decided, let's put that in that big envelope and let's get people to open it. So our open rate went up. We're getting, it's working. So, we're going to be talking too also about the cash offer program that Tim Royce has put together, or Tim Evans, sorry, with Carol Royce team put together for us. It's an amazing opportunity.
Well, it's pretty impressive when you can show up at any seller's house and say, we have 1 or 2 or 3 cash offers for you. Really, that's what sellers want. We still, as a real estate industry, think they want to list their house, but the truth is that's highly undesirable for most sellers. Hence the popularity of iBuyers and cash offers. I don't know, some crazy stat we looked at the last conference. It was something like, 30 or 40% of Americans said that they would actually take a little bit less for their house to not have to sell it using the traditional methods of open houses and leaving the house every time there's a showing and taking the dog and the kids and sitting in the rain and the showing doesn't show up. So, the guaranteed, look at the name of your company there behind you, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. We have to operate in a world where we're really understanding what's important to buyers and sellers. So some of you watching this right now might think, well, cash offers, that's a bait and switch, or that's a scam. Well, look, we do this all the time. This is what we do. And, your paradigm or your attitude towards what it is that buyers and sellers really want. It doesn't matter really what you think or what realtors think. It's what's important to buyers and sellers. And I'm going to say this, Tracy, you have generated thousands and thousands of clients. But of course, some of the other realtors, some of your competitors are not as happy about your success as maybe your clients are thrilled with their experience with you. But we need to really drill down, which we will do in the next couple of weeks here, on what is working the best. Ideally, if you could say to the seller, we have what you want, which is your price in your time frame. Here it is. That's what they want. And this is the way the industry is moving more and more towards that. A lot of times when you do a Google search and you search, type in real estate in the area, the first ads you see on Google are all cash offers. The real estate agents are way down below, but it's all about, instant cash offer your home in 24 hours. So, that's one of the things that you do. Understand that Tracy does many, many things. It's not one thing. But of all the things that he does, and obviously you would only stick with, doing marketing that gets a good return on investment. But there are 3 or 4 things that top the list, as Tracy mentioned. Let's talk about radio, because that's been huge for you.
Yeah, so radio's been great. We've added, as we went along here, we've added stations. So we're on 5 or 6 radio stations now. We're on 4 TV stations, but radio's been great. We were just on talk radio, and then we expanded out. We did sports and sports talks radio, and then we went to music. And so, to my surprise, even the music stations are working out. People are responding to it, because a lot of times you think, well, people aren't going to listen. As soon as the ad comes on, they hit the button, and switch stations. And probably some of that's true, but it's really working well. And but it's because of the message that we have taught.
Well, I was going to say, what's your message? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but could you do an imitation of one of your radio commercials? Like, what would it? Is it? Are you in it, or do you have like a live read from the radio personality?
I have both.
Okay.
I have both going. So we have a live read from the personality, and then I have a recorded one. So the newest one we have going right now that's really resonating with the market is the cash offer. Get a cash offer on your home in seconds. And these cash offers don't suck. So, so we have that message going out.
So
And
yeah, that's the battle of, or the, false impression that you have to fight is home sellers think, well, a cash offer probably means some investor wants to buy my house for 70 cents on the dollar. So you address that, right? This is not, this is not a 70 cents on the dollar offer. These are real offers. These are cash offers. Obviously, has to be at a price acceptable to you.
there are multiple cash offers. We have more than just one. It's not just one cash offer we
Yeah.
come with. It's multiple ones. And we have the guaranteed sale price. What I was going to say too, Craig, was, the message to the marketplace is, and you were kind of leading to, is the market wants certainty. So agents they offer just uncertainty, like, well, we'll list your house and we'll see what happens. That's uncertainty. With the people that's in our program, Your Home Sold, and those guys, we offer certainty. The name of our company offers certainty. Your Home Sold Guaranteed. Cash offers, multiple cash offers. That is all certainty. So that resonates with the market.
And that certainty is becoming a lot more important as people become more skeptical.
Yes.
Back in the day, when there were no guaranteed sales programs, which I brought into the industry in the late 1980s, everyone was competing on a level playing field, which is you interviewed 3 agents, and none of the 3 agents provided any certainty at all. So yeah, I know you picked the person you thought would do the best job. But when I came into to real estate, and within 3 years having my license, started offering the guaranteed sale program, it was a game changer. I was in a category of one. There was no competition. I was like in a completely different business, because the other agents I was up against, they could say, I've been doing this for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, and Craig's only had his license for 3 years. But I offered certainty. Your home sold guaranteed, or I'll buy it. Your home sold at a price acceptable to you, or I'll buy it. And the way our guarantee works is we give an upfront guaranteed price in writing. And if we get a superior offer from an outside buyer, the seller always gets the higher offer. So it's not like we want to buy the house. We're offering certainty. We're in this certainty business. It's like an insurance policy that we offer home sellers that nobody else offers, that, hey, we're going to sell your house for full market value. We're going to guarantee it in writing. And at the end of the period, if we don't have a superior offer from an outside buyer, we're going to buy it for the price that we agreed to, that everyone agreed to at the beginning of this. So my business was built on these guarantees. Now I've got a special session in Orlando. Well, I got 2 sessions. One, Tracy, is all about all the innovations I brought into real estate. These are things that did not exist. And so I'm going to go through a list of each one of these innovations, and what that did for my business, and how I've shared it with you guys, the success that you've had. So go through one by one by one by one. We'll get into the details of how this works, because I can imagine someone watching this for the very first time. They have the same reaction maybe as you did when you first heard it, Tracy. It's like, well, how do you do that? I don't have the money to get stuck with all these homes. And really, you just need to understand the math behind this, and get the details of how it works. We're not in the business to be buying houses. We're in the business of making guarantees. Now, you have to be in a position to actually follow through. That only happened to me twice in 25 years where I had to buy the house. All the other hundreds and hundreds of times, the home sold for the price I promised or above that, and the guarantee never did take effect.
Yeah. So for me, Craig, I've only bought 2 houses, but I wanted to buy them. It wasn't like I needed to, but I said, yeah, and I went ahead and just did the deal and closed, and they were happy, and they wanted to do something faster. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll buy it. So, there was I don't know who made the statement, but it was made to me, like, to help me understand about the guaranteed sale program, was this, like, this is not a guarantee to purchase. It's a guarantee to sell it. And you're guaranteed to sell it for the fullest advantage of your seller client. So, if, like you said, if we come up with another offer that's better than the one the client and I made, then it's to their advantage to take that offer. And so that's what we're doing. We're securing and bringing certainty to our seller client, to the marketplace. And great job, and thank you for that. And no, I've told you before, I'm glad you didn't put all this on the shelf. I'm glad you
Well,
shared.
it's been a lot of fun sharing it, and still having a lot of fun today. And we're gonna have fun next in the next week or so in Orlando. Again, if you want information on the conference, you can go to my website at craigproctor.com, or you can call my office toll free at 1-800-538-1034. Another thing that you can do is you can just Google Tracy. Okay, Google Tracy King, and then Google yourself, and then Google Tracy again, and then Google yourself. And we have to understand that home sellers today are going to Google first. Okay, this is how they're deciding which agent they're going to use, right? The battle for who the listing agent's going to be is no longer done at the kitchen table like it used to be. It's done online. And if you're skeptical of what I just said, I want you to take a moment. I want you to think about how you make a big purchase decision, or maybe even a small purchase decision. You know, Tracy, if you and I, we get to Orlando and you and I wanted to go to dinner and we don't know the best restaurants in Orlando. We just do a quick Google search, you know, best restaurants near us, and we'd find ourselves a restaurant. How many of you would agree that maybe if you're buying a car, you'd Google it, you do your own research, and heck, you might know more about the car, the colors, the options. You might know more about that car than the car salesperson does. I've found that a few times. By the time I get into the dealership, I know more about that thing I'm going to purchase than the person selling it to me. So prospects are educating themselves online. It's the same thing with real estate. We knew years and years and years ago that buyers felt that they didn't need a real estate agent to find a house. That's what they believe. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying the average buyer believes, well, what do I need a real estate agent for? You know, it used to be, Tracy, we'd say, well, you know, you can't find the house without us, and we're great negotiators, and we're going to represent you and your best interests, and we're going to negotiate the best price. The buyers today are like, well, you know what? I think I can find my own house. It's called the internet. And now that I know who has the houses listed, maybe I can negotiate a better deal without you and go directly to the listing agent. So these are the perceptions that buyers have. So we teach you how to handle that. Now, one way that we'll be talking about in Orlando, and we've been talking about for the last few years, is you better be offering your clients something they can't find on their own. If they can get it on their own, that's exactly what they're going to do. So if your big offer to buyers is, I can email you the houses that are on the internet, the buyer would prefer not to have you involved as a real estate salesperson. Just go online, go to the multitude of public sites, websites, and get their information that way. But when you start telling them the truth that, you know, a lot of what you're seeing online is already sold, or it's overpriced, or it seems to be picked over listings or the leftovers. And if you'd like to get priority access to the best deals, including bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, homes that aren't even listed for sale yet, one of the strategies that we use is we go directly to the neighborhood that the buyer's looking in. So, you know, the buyer, if we said to the buyer, well, we'll email you the houses that are on the internet, they'll say thanks, but no thanks. But when we say, we also, you tell us what you're looking for, and we'll go into that neighborhood. We'll use our specific marketing and we'll go into that neighborhood and we'll talk to homeowners that haven't yet listed their home for sale. You would literally, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you would literally be the only buyer that would know about this property. And you get priority access as we access home sellers that haven't yet listed yet. These homes are not publicly available. When you start to use that language, now you're offering buyers, A, something they want, and B, it's something they don't know how to get on their own. It's something you can't do a Google search on. It's not something the other agents are offering. So this is, you know, the theme of what we teach is it doesn't matter what you think or what you like or what you don't like or your attitude about the guaranteed sale program. If you're a Me Too real estate agent, if you're doing things pretty much the same as everybody else, and you're offering the same thing as everyone else, maybe that's why you're not doing as well as you should be. What we're talking about, by the way, is going around the MLS system. That's what we're talking about. Pretty much everything in Craig Proctor world, just so you're prepared, is the opposite of what everyone else tells you to do. Okay. We're contrarians. Okay. So we're going to do things the opposite way. We're going to get buyers to call us with a unique offer that we're going to get you homes that aren't on the market. And then we're going to go directly to the sellers and say, we have buyers that are looking for homes in your neighborhood. And we're going to show you how to put the buyers and sellers together. And there is no MLS. We're not listing the property at all. We're not hiding the listing or whatever, thoughts you might have. Oh, this is wrong. We're not listing the house. If we're not listing the house, we're just bringing the buyer. We're selling the buyer a home that's not even listed yet. We just use a commission agreement. We show you how to do this. Now you're offering the seller something they want. Seller doesn't want to list their house and go through weeks or months of traditional pain and torture selling their home. You're offering the buyer something they want because they can't find a house. Everything seems to be overpriced, picked over, already sold. So this is one of the techniques that we use. And so you'll start to get a very different attitude and mindset about what you should be doing. Now, at first, it'll kind of blow you away. Just like I'm sure, Tracy, when you came to our first conference and you heard some of the conversations and what you heard at that first conference and what you hear at every one of our conferences is very different than what you were brought up to believe about real estate and how it's done and how all the other agents in your marketplace think about real estate.
Yeah, it's like I was just all of a sudden on a different planet. Their language, their talk was totally different from what I was used to hearing. Craig, something else that we do is we teach agents to how to collect their premium fee. And, with this whole thing with NAR going on and the whole code broke matter and all that stuff going on, there's a lot of agents out there probably scrambling, trying to figure out how am I going to get paid.
Hey, Tracy, you can't say that we were wrong about that. We were talking about this 6 or 7 years ago. Okay, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer than that. We were saying the buyer commission is going to go to zero. Yep. The reason we were talking about this many, many years ago is because we didn't like the fact that the commissions being paid when you represent the buyer were not in your control. And those commissions were going down and down and down and down. And we thought, well, that's not very good. When we list a house, we get to negotiate our fee. But when we're working with a buyer, we just accept what's being offered. And let's agree, most agents are weak negotiators, not strong. So you're taking a pay cut. You're not able to negotiate your own fee. And how can we really control our business when we have the other agent or the seller controlling our fee and we work with a buyer? So we started teaching our agents how to negotiate their own fee. So no longer were we, at the mercy of whatever is being offered. Then we taught them how to negotiate their own fee directly with the buyer. So here, if you want to get blown away, here's how it works. For some of our top members, if you want to work with them, you pay an upfront transaction fee for the pleasure of working with them. You're going to sign a 6-month buyer agency agreement, and they're going to negotiate their fee. It might be 3%, 4%, 5%, whatever you feel comfortable with, but you get to negotiate your fee with your buyer the exact same way as you get to negotiate your fee with the seller. If you don't like the fee that your seller is willing to pay you, you can walk away from the listing. Well, you can do the same thing here. Now, this, I know you might have, you folks might have all kinds of questions about this. Well, what if the buyer, says, jam it, I'll just use another agent. Look, not every buyer will follow our rules of engagement. Just like every seller, not every seller lists their home with you. But we show you through effective marketing how to have a steady stream of buyers or sellers. We call it an overflow. So here's what you'll be able to do. You'll have the luxury of not having to work with the buyers that won't pay you what you're worth, or the sellers that won't pay you what don't see value. And you can see Tracy's doing pretty good here. He's got 500 transactions a year. Now, that doesn't mean everyone he spoke to or his team spoke to said yes, but he got enough of them. Okay. Now, the benefit of doing it this way is you've got loyalty with your buyer. You're going to know right away in that first meeting, who you're going to get paid with here. No more running around with the honor system. I can't believe, Tracy, still today, a lot of agents, the only time they use the buyer agency agreement is the day the offer is being submitted. That's when they get it signed. I'm going to argue you don't even need it then.
That's what I was taught when I first got in real estate. It's like, you don't pull that out until it's ready to make the offer.
Yeah, why don't we wait till 2 weeks after closing to pull it out? I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Like,
Right.
you want to know, like, okay, could you imagine? Let's just flip this around, because I mean, I want to point out the ridiculousness of this. Could you imagine? You go out to see a seller, and the seller says, "Hey, Tracy, I don't really feel comfortable with listing contracts, so you go out there and you advertise and market my house and open house it and bring all the buyers through and bring me offers, and maybe, just maybe, I'll pay you at the end of it." None of us would work with the seller under those conditions. Well, why should it be any different when we work with buyers? So here's what's happening. Long story short, you see what's going on with this lawsuit with all the major franchises, Remax, you see what's going on with the NAR. So it used to be that an NAR rule was, if you wanted to submit your listing, the seller had to pay the buyer agent. It couldn't be zero. Okay, so now it's like they're saying, okay, well, it can be zero. Look at when homeowners understand that they can pay zero to the agent that's working against them, because it is ridiculous, right? Like, if I'm a seller, why am I paying the buyer agent that's working against me? Why am I paying opposing counsel? So this is why the Department of Justice is coming down on this. They're accusing organized real estate of price fixing, and they're saying, no, we're going to make home sellers aware of the fact that they should be paying zero. And they're pressuring the NAR to allow this to happen. So now the NAR is like, well, I mean, yeah, okay, we'll do that. Now it's, now zero will be offered. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Zero will be offered. It's the way it should have always worked. I think we all agree. We know why it worked the way it did, because you could could be all rolled into the financing, the mortgage. So we know why they did it this way, but it was never the proper way to do it. And apparently it's a violation of something called the Sherman Trust. Mm-hmm. So, okay, where's this leave us as real estate agents? Where's Craig going with this? Well, here's where I'm going with this. You better get used to the fact that in very short order, those commissions being paid to the buyer broker are going to be zero, zippo, nothing. How are you going to get paid when you're representing a buyer? Do you know how to negotiate your fee with a buyer? Do you know how to get an upfront transaction fee? Now, I know that's a crazy idea. Oh, we're not allowed to. Look, you just need to be coached up on how to do this. If you wanted to hire a contractor, if you wanted to hire a painter, an architect, a lawyer, they would take some money up front. I once had a painter, Tracy. He came over to my house. He gave me a quote. He said, Craig, I'm going to need half the money on this quote to go out and buy the paint. Well, like a dummy, I paid him half the money and never saw the guy again. I guess he figured I'm better with half the money for doing the paint job and not doing the paint job. I mean, you got to be careful with this, but I'm just saying a retainer fee would be a good idea. Now, you might not know how to do it, and you might say I'm not allowed and all that stuff. All I'm saying is keep an open mind. A lot of times, like when I talk about introducing your buyer to an off-market listing, the reaction we get from a lot of realtors, oh, we're not allowed to do that. They won't even hear about it. If you hang with Tracy and I in our group, we will freak you out. Now, just be careful of this, because your old paradigm, the way you see the world right now, what you've been taught, how you do it, is in opposition of what we're talking about here. So when you hear these new ideas, the common response is to shut it down and go, oh, wait a minute, we're not allowed to do this. My broker said this, it's against. You've got to be coached up on how to do this. Everything that we teach is legal. We've been doing it for a long, long time. Thousands of agents from all over the country do it. But when we get to our conferences, Tracy, it's easy to spot a brand new attendee, isn't it? Oh, they're kind of out in the hallway. They're walking around in a daze. They'll go into the men's room and they'll be at the urinal beside you, and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed by this, or they'll immediately go to. It's amazing that real estate agents immediately go down the road of why something won't work instead of the opposite, which is, how can I make it work? Yeah, how can I do this?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have that kind of a mind thing, because I walked in the room and I'm like, all these people are doing it. I'm like, okay, if they're doing this, I can do it. I want to learn. So I walked in with my mind was open to everything I did. And of course, I wasn't in real estate that long to be brandished where I couldn't be open-minded. But that's a big key right there, is just being open-minded and just learning, because it is learning. There's, like, you were talking about money up front. So, we flip houses. We've been working on a personal property, finally done with that. But I was thinking, we had to get countertops for this flip house. And we wrote a check for 50%, took it in there, and they go, no. You got to pay for the whole thing up front. We're like, oh, okay. So something shifted during this process since the last time we did it. So we had to go cut a new check, take the whole amount in. And it's common. Like we do that with we bought some furniture, we had to pay at least half up front. I mean, so this is a very common thing that happens in other industries and other parts of our life. We do this. I went to the doctor, my Kofi. The doctor's in the room back there, but I can't go see him until I pay this lady to Kofi. Yep. And so it's just something that's happened, that the real estate industry has just been so far behind on that. And I think that, we were 10 years ahead on this no zero commission thing. I'm telling you, we're 10 years ahead on this, probably not even that far, but it's going to come faster. The retaining fee is going to be a nominal, just normal thing that we're going to get and do in the industry. And we're ahead of the curve again.
This is my challenge. I've got so much great stuff to cover in only 3 days. And we go early in the morning. We go from like 9 a.m. to the full day, like sometimes 7 or 8 p.m. So it's not uncommon for real estate agents at the end of this to be walking around saying, oh, it feels like my head's going to explode. We'll give you lots of examples of what you need to do, how it's being done. You'll write down pages and pages of your notes. And if you don't love it, you just come up to me. I'll give you all your money back. That's a guarantee, right? Our guarantee is if you're not blowing away, we'll just refund your money. Okay. Yeah. That's how much confidence we have that when you see this, you can't unsee it, right? When you hear this, you can't unhear it. I make it my job in those 3 days to make it impossible for you to go back and conduct your business the way you've been conducting it. Because when you know a better way of doing something, you're not going to go back and do it a less effective way, right? But you got to give yourself a chance. Okay, everybody watching this, you got to give yourself a chance. You got to find out, well, what are the top agents doing? What are they thinking? Where's this industry going? Everything that you want to do in real estate, promise you, it's already been done by the superstars you're going to meet at the conference here in Orlando. It's being done right now by the Tracy Kings of the world. Get to listen to them explain exactly what they do, how they do it, pick their brain. And what happens after you meet hundreds and hundreds of agents that are doing the thing that you want to do gives you a lot of confidence. It squashes any skepticism that you may have. Another thing I'm going to get into at the conference is new construction. That's a massively huge opportunity. As we know, the builders are stuck with all these homes because people fell out because of their financing when rates went up. See, there are opportunities. Now that the interest rates are going up, there's a lot of opportunities. Number one, buyers and sellers really care about who their agent is. They're not likely going to use their friend or relative like during the pandemic when money was running down the street and it didn't really matter what agent you used. I mean, it always did, but they thought it didn't matter what agent you used when you're selling your home. So new construction is a huge opportunity. We're going to show you how to work with the builders. The financing is being bought down. It literally is the best interest rate, the best mortgage a home buyer is going to get today is buying new construction. So how do we negotiate, upgrades and incentives and low rates and attract buyers? Now, understand these new construction properties, you might not have them listed, but we show you how to leverage off the top builders in your area. And when you've got a buyer that you've generated this buyer lead because you're offering information on new construction homes with discounted mortgages, first of all, a lot of buyers very interested in a new home. It's the easiest transaction you're ever going to do. If they buy new, you just introduce them to the builder, say, Builder John, this is Susan, this is Builder John, and boom, you're out of it. You get paid. But about half of the buyers that respond to our new construction campaigns are buying resale anyway. So we're not apologizing for that. They call on new construction and they buy resale. I mean, it'd be like somebody calling about a new car and they buy a used car. So we're talking about using the right bait, so to speak, with your marketing. Okay, if you're advertising something that buyers and sellers don't want, And you'll know that, by the way, with your lack of leads, right? Like, don't blame the platform is what I'm saying. Don't say, well, Facebook doesn't work and Instagram doesn't work and Zillow doesn't. Don't say all these platforms don't work. Don't say direct mail doesn't work. Don't say billboards don't work. I want everyone to honestly look at what your offer is. If your offer sucks, you're going to blame the media. You're going to say, oh, I knew direct mail wouldn't work. I knew that radio wouldn't work. I knew that Facebook wouldn't work. I knew that Google wouldn't work. We hear this all the time. But when you're coached up on the right offer, okay, now we can expand and we can scale this up. And you take those right offers that are actually addressing what people want, and you crank up your budget. I mean, think of how you've had the courage, Tracy, over the years to really crank up your advertising budget. Why? Because it works. Every time I spend $1, I'm making $10.
Yeah. So you were talking about the something not working. So out of the blue, I would say out of the blue, we watched it happen, but our radio stopped producing anywhere close. Matter of fact, we got down to like 0 leads generated in a week, which never had that happen. But the market shifted. So the message, has to shift with it. We have to figure out what that message was. And it took me a few weeks working with you guys to get the correct message, to get it back on track. So it's not like you can just set it and forget it. You always have to watch. That's why we do a great job tracking. And then you have to realize, like, okay, it's time to refresh that up. We got to change the message. The message out is not resonating with the audience. So we had to change it up. And that's where, this being in this network, this coaching program, this whatever you want to call this thing that we do, being here, that's what is so invaluable. It just can't. It's process. So we get the help we need to make those things happen. Here in
Tracy, it's called Planet Proctor.
Planet
Proctor. We're on our own planet over here.
I'm looking forward to the new construction piece that you're going to be bringing to us. I really need that. So.
Well, another thing so we've created all these funnels as well, right? So probably everyone realizes it's very difficult to get people on the phone. So we're going to be talking about not only the industry changes, right? Like, okay, they're not going to pay you for working with a buyer. You got to figure out how to get the buyer to pay you directly. So that would be definitely under the category of an industry change. But we're also going to be focusing on the behavioral changes. And the biggest behavioral change since the pandemic is people don't answer the damn phone, right? So for most real estate agents, we've been brought up in a world that doesn't exist anymore, right? Most real estate agents, what they've been taught and trained to do is, you buy the leads from Zillow or Realtor, where you buy the leads from, and then you call them like crazy. And today you're reaching like 3 or 4 out of 100. And when you reach them, they're like, I didn't do that, wrong number. Somebody was playing with my phone or whatever. So it's very difficult to make money when you're chasing prospects and you're calling prospects that didn't really request anything, right? This is scraped information, not even real leads. And by the way, if you have inside salespeople, it's very difficult to keep them because they don't make any money unless they talk to people. So our whole game in the real estate industry up until this point has been, buy some leads, call the leads. Why are you calling the leads? Well, because I need to tell them how good I am so I can get an appointment with them to try to list their house. Well, that's the other behavioral change. Not only do they not answer the phone, they don't want to meet with you just to find out what you do. So how do we handle this? Well, what we need to do is we need to be pushing out who you are and what you do and what makes you different and better. So they don't have to talk to you on the phone to find out what you do. So imagine you got 100 new leads. Instead of trying to call them and you only reach 4 out of 100, imagine emailing them, texting them, sending videos and retargeting and remarketing them so they see you on their phone, but you're not talking to them. Imagine if all 100 people got to see your presentation, got to understand who you are, what makes you different and better. It's a lot more effective, right? So the way we approach the marketing and how we're going to be communicating with the clients has changed dramatically because their behavior changed. Now, I know some of us don't like change, right? So understand we can't make the clients behave the way we want to behave. Okay, we can't do that. We've got to change the way our approach works. Okay, so it matches up with how the consumers want to behave. So we're going to be talking about the industry changes. We're going to be talking about how the behavior of the prospects themselves have changed it. What's the most effective marketing? What's the most effective media? By media, we mean what platform? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, direct mail, radio, TV. It's all laid out for you. So again, go to craigproctor.com if you want information on the conference. Now, another thing that I'll offer everybody is if you found this extremely helpful and you'd like to book a one-on-one call with my team, you can do that for $0. Okay, $0. It's a free breakthrough call. And here's how it works. It's not a big sales pitch or anything like that. We just ask you a bunch of questions where you are in your business. And we ask you, what's your goal? Where would you like to go? And then obviously we're going to say, okay, let's say you're at 25 transactions and your goal is 50. So the obvious question would be, well, why are you not already doing 50? You said, you want to do 50, you're only doing 25. And then you would proceed to tell us, all the obstacles and the reasons why you're not reaching your goal. Now, for free, we would give you some advice on the best way for you to get from where you are to where you're going to go. Now, why do we do these calls? Because, this is fair. If we provide you really extremely helpful, good information, some of you may want to be our clients, like Tracy. Tracy came to one conference. How many years ago was that, Tracy?
It's been 11.
11 years ago. Now, you might be thinking, well, why would Tracy be involved in the same training over? It's never the same training. Yeah. Okay, what we talk about this conference, what we talk about the next conference, it's always changing because the marketplace is changing, what works changes. So here's how you book one of these calls. If you're serious about implementing this, you like what we're talking about here, here's a great place for all of you to start. Okay, write this down. You go to proctorcall.com. So my name, right there, Proctor, Proctor, call.com. No space, proctorcall.com. Okay, proctorcall.com. We'll put it down in the comments below as well. And we'll put Tracy's information down there. Now, when you go to proctorcall.com, you're going to go to my Acuity day timer. You pick a day and a time that works, block out an hour. We'll jump on a Zoom just like this, and we'll show you a whole bunch of stuff. Promise you this, we're going to show you a whole bunch of things that you don't know how to do that you'd like to learn how to do. Okay, we're going to explain to you things that totally make sense. And, at the end of this consultation with us, you're either going to be really excited and say, yes, I want to learn more. Or you might say, hey, it's not for me, which is fine as well. I would recommend that you Google Tracy. And if you're in Tracy's marketplace and you're looking at him and maybe you're proud of him, right? Maybe you look up to Tracy. Maybe you say, man, I want to be like that guy. Maybe you see him as a fierce competitor. Maybe you don't like him because, not that you've ever talked to him before, but, professional jealousy, maybe his massive success has kind of rubbed you the wrong way. Here's what I would do. I would set the ego aside and I would just contact Tracy. That's what I would do. I would have a conversation about partnering up with him. Why work against this powerhouse? You know who he is, okay? You've seen him, and it's amazing. I did a consultation once. I don't know if I ever told you this, Tracy. Did a consultation once with an agent in your marketplace. And this lady proceeded to tell me, because I said, oh, we've got Tracy King. Oh, Tracy King, he's the devil. And I'm like, have you ever spoken to Tracy before? No, she admitted she'd never spoken to you before. Have you ever done a deal with Tracy? Nope, I haven't done a deal with Tracy before. I'm like, why do you feel that way? And she could not tell me a reasonable explanation. It was just simply professional jealousy. Well, I think one of the things that she didn't like, I don't like that guarantee. I don't like that guarantee. So you don't like the fact that he'll give a home seller an upfront guarantee that if he fails to sell it at the price he promised, that he'll buy it. You think that's a bad thing for the seller? Because I tell you what, you may not like it, but sellers in your marketplace, they love it. That's why everybody's heard of him and
Right.
nobody's heard of you, right? So maybe you want to have a conversation with Tracy about how to partner up. Let's talk about how that would work. We're running out of time, but here's how this deal would work. Tracy works all day long on creating one thing, an overflow of buyer appointments and listing appointments. That's right. If you partnered up with Tracy, you would literally be going from listing appointment to listing appointment, from buyer appointment to buyer appointment. He has an overflow of this. He doesn't have time to go out on them. He's working on making that happen. He also spends a lot of time training you and coaching you. So when you go out on these listing presentations and buyer presentations, you're bringing home an agreement. You're not bringing home a story, right? So he spends a lot of time with you, coaching you and training you on how to present to buyers and sellers. So what's his motivation? The more money you make, the more money he makes. Give us the areas that you service, Tracy. Where are you looking for agents right now?
Literally anywhere in East Tennessee. So if you know the state from Chattanooga, Knoxville, all the way north to Bristol. We have a brand new office that we've opened up in Johnson City, which is in what we call the Tri-City area. Matter of fact, we're going to be there Thursday doing an event for a recruiting event Thursday. Craig, I want to tell you, just last week, our ISA department, Inside Sales Agents Department, broke a new record. They set 106 appointments last week. That's
amazing. 106 appointments in 1 week. So check this out. Yeah, this is for real. If I was an agent working on Tracy's team, let's talk about what I don't have to do. I don't have to blow any money on marketing and advertising. Okay, that's done for me. I don't have to call a whole bunch of leads. That's done for me. I just have to show up and do the listing presentation exactly the way Tracy shows you to do it. You do it that way. And he'll coach you up. He'll explain why. And basically you go in there and you say this first, this second. You might say, well, that sounds a bit robotic. Yes, there is a best approach to this. We want you to follow the approach. Okay. There's no gray area here. There's a best way to do it. So, and when you start to win with this, you're going to want to stick with that approach, right? Don't change things up because you're bored. Just follow the approach. Okay. So you get the listing signed. Let's talk about what you don't have to do. You don't have to take a picture of the house. That's done for you. You don't have to go to Home Depot and get the keys cut or install the lockbox. Done and done for you. You don't have to hammer a sign in the front lawn. You don't have to make the feature sheets. All this stuff is done. Let me repeat this again. You would focus on one thing, going from listing appointment to listing appointment to listing appointment using Tracy's presentation, which is my presentation that I gave to Tracy. So here's how this worked. Tracy came to me. I said, here's how I sell 500 homes a year. Just go do this. And then Tracy's going to teach you everything I taught him. So I taught Tracy, then he's going to show you. So if you're in the east part of Tennessee, you know how I invited everyone to do a call with me? If you're in the east part of Tennessee, you do not need to call Craig Proctor. You need to call Tracy King. Now, if you're outside of Tracy's marketplace, fine. You need to call me because you probably want to learn, well, how do I do what Tracy's doing? How do I start this super profitable team and brokerage? Or maybe you don't want to be a team leader. Maybe you want to work and partner up with another one of Craig Proctor's superstars in another part of the United States and Canada, because we have Tracy Kings all over the country. So we would help you find your Tracy King in your area. Again, it's proctorcall.com. That's where you go, proctorcall.com. Now, we're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to have my information and Tracy's contact information below in the comments below. Okay, but you can just Google this guy. The name can't be easier. Tracy King. It's a good real estate name. The king of real estate. So I hope everybody enjoyed our session here today and you found it extremely helpful. I'll throw it over to you, Tracy, for some final thoughts.
Well, I was making notes earlier when you were talking. This triggered some thoughts, and that's great. I'm always learning. I think that everybody needs a coach in their life, and I'm glad I've got mine, and you can have yours too. And I really, really think that you can have a lot of success, and it's theirs. If the opportunity's there, so I encourage everyone to, if you're not in East Tennessee, you need to reach out to Craig, get started. It's not too late. The market's changed, and the market has changed. It's shifting. It's always going to shift. Craig's way ahead of everybody out there, and I'm living proof of that. Thank you, Craig.
Well said, Tracy King, the king of real estate. I want to thank you so much for doing this, Tracy, this interview. Awesome stuff, and look forward to seeing you shortly in Orlando, Florida. Again, craigproctor.com, craigproctor.com. That's where you go to get information on the Orlando 3-day super conference. You don't have to be a Craig Proctor member, but I bet you if you attend, you're going to want to be. So we're going to wrap it up. Thanks again for everybody for tuning in. I'm real estate coach Craig Proctor, and this is superstar realtor Tracy King from Tennessee. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see everybody next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.